Good afternoon. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you very much, my dear friend Obsatlov. I'm very glad to come back to the institution to see all of you. I believe that we are facing a very unique situation in the state of Israel and in our region, and I would like to share with you my views and my thoughts about the situation. I believe that within Israel, politically speaking, we are facing a historic opportunity in Israel. This is the first time in Israel's history that there has been such a large coalition and a relatively unified one. I believe that we have some national goals to take decision, to agree about them and take the decision about them and to implement them with this large coalition. And it is also an opportunity to advancing some issues which are, from my point of view, national goals with our neighbors. We have a window of opportunity to make historic changes, both within Israel and with our neighbors. But the most important dimension is time. We have about 1.5 years until general election in Israel, and we had to decide what are the priorities and with what issues we are going to deal and to take the decisions. I would like to speak first about the region. I believe that the Arab world is facing a new situation now after the Arab Spring and the tectonic events in the area. There is a new reality among the Palestinians, and I believe that it is about time to break the ice and to sit and to speak and resume negotiation with the Palestinians. I believe that we have to resume the negotiations without preconditions. The last attempt to resume negotiation 3 years ago, accepting the idea of two-state solution, failed because of the precondition. I said it to Prime Minister Netanyahu 3 years ago when he asked my view about the freeze in the settlement blocks in Jerusalem, and I said to him that I believe that we cannot and we should not accept preconditions. It becomes a precedent for the future, and it was the main obstacle in the last 3 years. Instead of negotiating, the main issue was a precondition before the negotiation. You probably know, and I spoke about my proposal here in the institution 2 years ago. I prepared a proposal in 2009 in order to advance and implement the two-state solution. And my idea is very simple. I believe that there is no trust between the two sides. I mean, the Israelis and the Palestinians. The gap is very large. It is impossible to reach an agreement by one step, to move from the current situation to a permanent agreement. And my idea is to think about the issues that we are very close to agree about them, and have interim in order to achieve permanent. I believe that there are two issues that we are very close, which are borders and security arrangements. Having an agreement about them, you can move to interim agreement in order to achieve a permanent. If we will have time, I will speak in more details about the ideas, but accomplishing an agreement about borders and security arrangements, we will change the atmosphere, we rebuild the trust, we will rebuild the trust, and we will improve the economic situation in our region, and I believe that it will be easier to achieve an agreement about the other core issues: Jerusalem, refugees, water, holy sites, airspace, and so on. So after 20 years of on and off discussions, the two issues of border and security arrangements could push the negotiation and agreement between the two sides forward. In borders, I believe that the gap is between 3 to 4 to 5% regarding the 67 lines. And speaking about security issues, I can tell you that my view is that the Palestinians should have security forces to secure their border and to secure their people. They will not have a military power to threaten the state of Israel. This is the main idea, my view about the policy of as a security issue. And I believe that the interim agreement will push the two sides to achieve a permanent, and I don't see, after 20 years of attempts to have an agreement, I don't see the possibility of one step moving to permanent agreement. I would like to say a few words about Iran. The Iranian policy is to buy time, and so far they are very successful. I believe that the combination of an extreme regime calling for the destruction of the state of Israel, a long-range ballistic missiles, and a high desire to achieve a nuclear power, it is for the state of Israel an existential threat. But the Iranian issue is not an Israeli or Jewish problem alone. This is a problem also for all the Western countries as well, and for the Arab moderate countries. And I believe that this is a time for sanctions, for more severe sanctions must be imposed and enforced against Iran. I don't believe that today Moscow, the superpowers, and Iran will achieve an agreement about how stopping the Iranian nuclear program. So I believe that this is a time for sanctions, and end of June, beginning of July, the sanctions of embargo on the oil and the financial sanctions should be imposed. Such an agreement that we didn't see in the last meetings, not in Baghdad, not in Istanbul, Baghdad, and in Moscow, should be based on stopping all continuing enrichment activity, removing all enrichment materials, by inspecting and dismantling all underground facilities, mainly COM. I believe that time is a critical factor. The strategy of the Iranian is to buy time, and they continuing to buy time. At the same time, we have to prepare all the options. When I say we, I mean the US, Western countries, and Israel. We have to prepare all options. I said that this is a time for diplomacy and sanctions, but the time is limited. From my best view, the use of military power should be the last option. And I believe that this option, if necessary, should be led by the US and the Western countries. The principal questions before using force we should ask ourselves how much we will delay the Iranian program, for how many months, how many years. And the second question is what will happen in our region the day after, I mean in the Middle East. I would like to say a few words about Syria. A bloody uprising is still going on in Syria. The Syrian dictator, Bashar al-Assad, cannot last long. A regime that slaughtering its own innocent civilians will eventually collapse and fall. Assad has only survived so far because of the loyalty of his armed forces and also because of the help of the Iranian alliance and the Hezbollah that wants to keep Syria as a player in the radical camp. And we know that the Russian support continuing, but even very loyal armed forces have a limitation on how far they can go in killing their own people. So the moment that the armed forces start deserting in large numbers, the Bashar regime will collapse very fast. My expectations are that the Western countries should give humanitarian support to the Syrian people. They should also warn Bashar that he must stop the massacre of his people. And the Western countries know how to send a signal to such leaders. Speaking about Egypt, in the coming days, we will know the result, the formal result of the second round of the election in Egypt. It is hard for us, for me, to predict the result. You know that each side speaks about the fact that he won the election. Whatever happens, we will be facing a more radical regime. And I can only say that I hope that they will not be actively hostile. The highest Israeli goal is to safeguard the peace agreement with Egypt and Jordan. And I personally believe that there is a way to safeguard the peace agreement between Israel and Egypt and Israel and Jordan. And the main goal regarding Israel and Egypt is a peace agreement, but not only the peace agreement. You probably heard about the last terror attack from Sinai Peninsula. Sinai Peninsula became in the last years as a no-man land. And our expectation, the Israeli expectations are that the elected regime in Egypt will control Sinai Peninsula in order to stop all the terror activity within Sinai Peninsula against the State of Israel. And the last attack was yesterday. And I would like to accomplish my first words and remarks by saying that the political climate in Israel, the fact that we have today a large coalition. We joined the coalition because we believe that the early elections would not be positive for the country. Also, I personally believe in unity. So the moment that the Prime Minister accepted the Kadima flags, the Kadima My Party flags, we joined the coalition. And our main objectives for the coalition are, first, service for all citizens in Israel. And we speak about the ultra-Orthodox and the Israeli Arabs to serve in the IDF or in civilian service, national service, and we are going to accomplish a new law that will give the chance to the ultra-Orthodox and the Israeli Arabs to join and service for all citizens. Our second goal is to change the political system in Israel. I personally believe that we should have a better political system in Israel. You know that after 64 years since the establishment of the State of Israel, the current government is the 32nd government of the State of Israel. It means that on average, every 2-3 years we have a new government. It is very hard to plan for the long run and to implement the government decisions. So we need a more stable political system in the way that we give more power to the government and to the prime minister to govern instead of to survive. We have another national goal, which is passing the national budget for 2013 for the next year with a social agenda. You probably heard about the last summer protest in Israel, the social protest asking for a better social life in Israel, reducing the cost of living, giving more chance to the young families and to the middle class. And we have to do more for these people. And finally, breaking the ice with the Palestinians and kick-starting the negotiation with the Palestinians. This is our goals. They are not an easy goals to achieve, but I believe that we have a window of opportunity, we have a limited of time, and with strong unity among the coalition, we will be able to achieve these goals for the future of the State of Israel, for the future of generations to come, and for the future of our region. Thank you very much.
Shaul, thank you very much. I appreciate the breadth of your views and for touching on both foreign and domestic politics. I'd like to open up a discussion session by asking you the following. You have said here today and in recent interviews that the most urgent priority is to find a way to reopen negotiations with the Palestinians. Up until recently, the Prime Minister of Israel has said the most urgent priority was to find a resolution to the Iranian nuclear crisis. Is there room at the top of the Israeli priority list for two most urgent priorities? And how do you balance between these two? And then after you take this question, I'll open the floor to my colleagues.
After?
Go ahead. Okay. If you can put your hands up, I'll be taking names down. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say that there are two questions. No, not one question. Two questions. I believe that we cannot accept Iran nuclear. There is no way that the State of Israel will accept nuclear Iran. But I believe that this is not a Jewish and Israeli problem alone. Speaking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it is more related to the State of Israel than to the Western countries. This is the differences between the two issues. The first issue is an issue that all the Western countries and all the Arab moderate countries has an interest to change the situation within Iran. If Iran become nuclear, it will be a different world. So it is an issue for all the Western and Arab moderate countries. Speaking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it is mainly Israeli-Palestinians. It will reflect in all the region. It has connection to all the Arab moderate countries. But I believe that we should put more effort to achieve an agreement with the Palestinians. Time is not in favor of the State of Israel and is not in the favor of the Palestinian either. And it is about time. We cannot, I mean the Israelis, and I served 40 years in the Israeli Armed Forces as Chief of Staff and as a Defense Minister, and I would like to tell you that we cannot continue to rule another nation. We have to find a solution for that. And the solution is to make compromises. I don't agree to make compromises on the security of the State of Israel. But I am ready to make compromises in achieving a peace agreement, speaking about borders and security arrangements and all other issues, and I believe that we could achieve it. The Iranian issue is a problem of the world as well as it is a problem of the State of Israel. And we have to solve it together. The fact that today this is a third round negotiation between the superpowers and Iran, it means that it is a problem that the superpowers should take care of. Whatever will happen after these attempts, I believe that the superpowers should continue to lead negotiations, sanctions, or all options in order to stop Iran's nuclear program. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict should be led by Israel and the Palestinians first, by bilateral negotiation, and to do our best to achieve an agreement.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll start, Richard Shifter in the back. And if you could wait for a microphone and make sure you speak into it briefly. A lot of people have questions, so we can get to. No. Put your hand up again, Dick. There you go. Thanks.
Do you believe that Mahmoud Abbas and Fatah are prepared to give up the right of return?
Okay, Howard over here on the right.
From what I understand of your position and Prime Minister Netanyahu's on settlements, you have been very far apart on those issues. And recently, with the controversy over the Alpana neighborhood in Beit El and the resolution, which included a promise of 851 additional settlement units to be constructed, I wonder how you see the Palestinians, forget about preconditions, but how you see them accepting these kinds of activities, and what would your position be on some kind of confidence-building measures related to settlement construction?
And Barbara in the center. So why don't we take these three, and then we'll go to a next round.
Thank you. Barbara Slavin from the Atlantic Council and allmonitor.com. Minister Mofaz, you say that the time for resolving the Iran issue is limited. Are you comfortable with this can being kicked down the road until after U.S. elections, which looks like what is about to happen? Thank you.
Okay, why don't we take those three, Shaul?
Okay. Well, speaking about what was said, right of return, I believe that having the solution of two states, having the State of Israel and the Palestinian state, I believe that Palestinian refugees could come only to the Palestinian state. This is a red line for the State of Israel. There is no question about it. And I believe that we cannot open negotiation on this issue. And having an agreement about borders and security arrangements, it will be easier to solve all other problems, but I don't accept the wording of right of return. And I believe that it is acceptable to say that to the Palestinian state in the future, Palestinians could come refugees or others. It is clear to everybody. I don't believe that any Israeli leadership will accept what was said here about right of return. And for the state of Israel, it is a red line. Even for those that speak from the left political parties in the state of Israel. We are the only democratic Jewish state in the world, and we should remain as a democratic Jewish state in the future, and the majority of the people in the state of Israel should be Jewish. From my perspective, if we don't solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the coming years, and if in the future the possibility that one state for two nations will be raised, it is more dangerous situation for the state of Israel than the Iranian threat.
My question is Fatah prepared to give up the claim of the right?
Well, I don't know. Well, we have to sit and to speak. I don't see, you asked about the Fatah. I'm telling you that there is no an Israeli leader, not now and not in the future, that will accept what you call the right of return. Now, the issue of the construction, my view was and still is that we have to start to negotiate about border. It will make clear to everybody where we can build and where not. If we will put the idea of the permanent border between the state of Israel and the future and possible Palestinian state, and my view is that the settlement blocks in which more than 250,000 settlers live, they will create the eastern border for the state of Israel. We have to say it clear-cut that these areas will be part of the state of Israel. Now, by saying that and having that, it is clear where you can continue to build and have construction and where not. Areas that you are going to compromise about them, you don't have to continue to build there. And areas that will be part of the state of Israel, including Jerusalem, you have to continue to build. And it will make clear to everybody, to the Palestinians, to us, what are the main idea about borders. And I believe that having the settlement blocks on the Israeli side, it is not only the issue of the construction, it is an issue of having defendable borders for the state of Israel. Time limited, I mean that the time limited until the Iranian leader will take the decision that he is running the final part for having a nuclear bomb. We don't know when he will decide. The moment he will decide, we will have a limit of time more than today. So this is the reason that we have to prepare all options, but we have to say that we have a limit of time, because when you say that this is a time for diplomatic and the diplomatic activity and sanctions, it doesn't mean that you have 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We have a limit in time, and the limit of time is to the moment that the Iranian leader will take the decision that he is going to do the last step for having a bomb.
Okay, thank you. Yes, here on my left, and then yes, sir, and yes, right here, sir. And I have lots of people who want to ask questions, so we'll do the best we can to get everybody to comment. Please.
Kasım Cindemir, Turkish Daily, Habertürk. Sir, you didn't mention Turkey. Is there any hope that the relations will be repaired with Israel? Thank you.
Yes.
Minister Mofaz, you speak about this renewed negotiation with the Palestinians, and you talk about borders and security arrangements being very close to being available. How do you deal with Gaza in this whole thing?
Yes, on the right. Thank you. Right up in front. I appreciate the brevity of your questions. This is excellent.
Gabriel Cohen with Harvard Law School. Minister Mofaz, I'm sorry. There's been a lot of discussion in Israel about constructive unilateralism, including an insinuation by Defense Minister Barak. What are your thoughts on constructive unilateralism? And if
About
unilateralism.
Constructive unilateralism. And if it turns out that Fatah is not willing to give up the right of return or to be a partner in peace, would you be in favor of implementing such policies?
Okay.
The relationship with Turkey are very important, and I believe that we have to understand, all of us, and especially in Israel, that Turkey become as a superpower in our region. There is no question about it. I believe that we should have strategic relationship with Turkey as we had in the past. I would like to tell you that when I was the chief of staff, my best friend was the Turkish chief of staff. We have to solve it. And when I say we, I mean the leaders from both sides. We have to meet, we have to speak, we have to put the past behind us and speak about the future. I believe that such event will happen in the coming months. I cannot tell you how and when, but I believe that it is necessary for the strategic goals of Israel and for the strategic goals of Turkey. What about Gaza? In Gaza, we have today terror groups controlling territories within Gaza. And we said in the past that the moment these terror groups accept quartet criteria, we will be able to speak with them and to negotiate with them. Because the moment they accept the quartet criteria, not Israeli criteria, the quartet criteria, they will not be a terror groups anymore. What are the quartet criteria that was put on the table in 2005? First, they said they have to stop all kind of terror activity. They have to accept all the agreements between Israel and the Palestinians, and they have to recognize the state of Israel. Now, today, there are some atmosphere of reconciliation between Hamas and Fatah. I don't see how Abu Mazen will come to negotiation if he have the Hamas part of his government, because they are a terror group and they continuing to attack Israel civilian people, even today and yesterday. And we cannot see them as a partners. The moment that the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and the future Palestinian Authority in Gaza will be one authority, one rule, and one gun, Gaza could be part of the Palestinian state. If they continue to attack us, we will not have other choice rather than defend ourselves. So it is at the hand of the Palestinians, not in the Israeli hands. And I would like to tell you that the Iranians are deeply involved in Gaza. the fuel for these terror groups, I mean the money coming from Iran, the directions are coming from Iran. And there is an Iranian presence within Gaza. So the question about Gaza is not at the hand of Israel. I accept whatever you will say about the West Bank. We have solution for agreement in the West Bank. I said borders and security arrangements first. And they can start to have a Palestinian state there, more than 65% of the land, and more than 99% of the population within this area, with a full continuity from the north to the south, I mean from Jenin to Hebron. We have solutions for compromising and having achievement and agreement with the Palestinians in the West Bank. And I would like to tell you that speaking about the security situation, it is better today. They do better. It is not 100%. I mean the Palestinian security groups. And still they have to improve themselves, but they are doing more. In the Gaza is totally different. Terror groups attacking the state of Israel with Iranian involvement, and the day that they will have one authority, one rule, and one gun, I mean one security forces, they could be part of the Palestinian state. This is not the time for unilateral steps. It will be very hard to achieve it. We have first to do our best to achieve an agreement with the Palestinians because we do have national interest in the West Bank, mainly the settlement blocks. I was a defense minister at the time that we implemented the disengagement plan in Gaza, and I would like to tell you that we didn't have in the past, and we didn't have today, national goals within Gaza. And it was a strategic decision and implementation in the way that we accomplished the disengagement in Gaza. I believe that we saved the life of 1,000 people and soldiers. We cannot tell them that we saved your life, but we know that we saved their life. We gave more room to our security forces to deal with the terror organization within Gaza. But the situation in the West Bank is totally different. We need defendable borders in the West Bank. And the defendable borders should be based on the settlement blocks. So speaking about unilateral steps, in the West Bank, this is the last option, and I don't see it as an option for tomorrow. I do see the negotiation and agreement about borders and security arrangements for tomorrow morning.
Just on that point, Shaul, has your cabinet, your colleagues supported the idea of trying to reach a borders and security agreement?
Well, we didn't discuss it in the cabinet yet, but I had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister in the last few years and in the last few weeks. I believe that the main obstacle today is to sit and speak, not the agenda. The moment we sit and speak without preconditions, it will be easier to put an agenda on the table. Now, as I said, we have a limit of time. It is 1.5 years until the general election in Israel, maybe less, you cannot predict. Today the timetable is October 2013, next year. And I believe that at least we can achieve terms of reference, TOR, which are the guidelines about the agreement in these two issues. We didn't discuss it in the cabinet because in the last 3 years, even not one meeting between the two sides discussing the options. We have to discuss with the Palestinians what are the options that we can resume and speak about them in order to achieve an agreement. And I hope that in the coming months, we will have such opportunity.
Mark Lynch, Dan Raviv, Peter Rosenblatt. Oh, is that? Next round will be in the back of the room.
Thank you, sir. If Mohammed Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood becomes the next president of Egypt, how will your government deal with Egypt? And what do you think the effect will be on your policy in Gaza?
Thank you. Dan.
Dan Raviv, Minister Mofaz, General Mofaz, since you joined the government recently, I imagine you got access to more information. No?
You are wrong. I was the head of the Foreign and Security Committee in the Knesset. And
very good.
So what is your
very
question?
good briefings? Very good, because I was going to ask whether you won't reveal the secrets, but whether the situation of Israel in a defense and security point of view was worse or better. Can you give us good indications or bad ones, really for your country's future? All the big trends. You still could answer that, whether you're deeply worried about the years ahead or confident.
Give the microphone over to Peter.
Thanks. What kind of changes to the political system is the coalition considering?
Okay. Shaul?
Okay, I cannot speak about who will be elected in Egypt. We should be very careful. They had an election, and we waiting like others to hear the results, the official results. But I hope that the highest goal of the Egyptian, after solving their economic situation, I believe that the highest goal of the new regime should be and could be keeping and safeguarding the peace agreement with Israel. I believe that this is their interest, this is the Israeli interest, and I will not say my view or my opinion about elected leaders in Egypt. They should speak about it, I mean the Egyptian. We have to continue our relationship with Egypt, whatever will be the elected president. And from my view, we have to cooperate the two states in order to first to safeguard the peace agreement and to find a solution how the Egyptian control Sinai Peninsula. Because the terror activity from Sinai Peninsula against the State of Israel could be an obstacle for our relationship in the future. And we have to share information to see how we can cooperate in order to stop this terror activity. I'm personally an optimistic person. And I believe that we have to find the way to safeguard the State of Israel and give hope to our people and to our children and to our grandchildren. You see, in my life, I participated in 5 wars as a soldier, officer, commander, chief of staff, defense minister. I don't want that my grandchildren, I have 4, will face wars in the future. So my main effort in these days is to bring more peace and calm situation to the State of Israel and to our region. So I'm basically optimistic, and I hope that the last event in our region, although some people see them that it is a fundamentalistic winter and we are going to face a worse situation in our region. I hope that we will take the right decision in order to enhance a peace agreement and calm situation to our region. What kind of decisions we have to take in order to change our political system? You see, first we have to adopt a democratic rule that the largest political party forms the government. In the State of Israel, you have to be elected twice. First, among the people, and second, among the parties, the members of the Knesset. They have to come to the president and to say who is the member of the Knesset that has the biggest chance to form a government. And I believe that in one step you can achieve both. You can say who is going to form the government. The largest political party.
With that rule, you would be prime minister today.
And with this rule, yeah. Well, I believe that the head of our party in the last general election was Tzipi Livni.
That's right.
Yeah, she was prime minister. She could be a prime minister. This is the first issue. The second issue is to pass laws that say that once the government elected, they have 4 years. You cannot call for the resolve of the Knesset without having a unique majority. This is the 32nd government of the State of Israel. You can imagine how fast governments change in the State of Israel, and ministers and so on. So this is the second issue. And the third issue is to move up the threshold from 2% to 3 or 4%. We have, in the last general election, we had, I believe, more than 12 parties in the election. It is too much for 7 million people. We have to reduce the number of the political parties. In order to reduce the number of the political parties, you have to move up the threshold from 2% to 3 and 4. And we will have, having that, we will have a more stabilized situation in the State of Israel. Leaders will be able to govern instead of to survive, and you can take long-run decisions like negotiation with the Palestinians, economic decisions, and some others. And I believe that the last poll that we asked the people in Israel about this issue, 78% of the population in Israel are positive and in favor of changing the political system in Israel. And I hope that we will be able to change it.
You have time for a few more questions?
Well, we will take another one or two.
Okay.
And
Yep, right. Yes, right there. Yep. In the far back.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Saeed Erekat from Al-Quds Daily newspaper. Mr. Mofaz, the Palestinians assert time and again that they have already made their historical compromise. They accept a state on 22% of their land with Jerusalem, East Jerusalem as its capital, and a just resolution for the Palestinian refugees. If you don't agree, sir, how much more should the Palestinians be prepared to cede of the West Bank? Thank you.
Go ahead. Yep, in the back.
Hi, Janine Zakaria. Mr. Mofaz, can you tell us, Tachlis, what changes has Israel implemented since the fall of Mubarak, with Syria falling apart before our eyes, and to some extent with the uncertainty in Jordan? Are there changes, I'm asking you perhaps more as a former chief of staff as well, that Israel has to make militarily or in other realms because of these changes? And also I'm curious, on a personal note, as the person who oversaw the Israeli military for so long, how surprised were you by the changes that have happened in Egypt and the fall of President Mubarak? Thank you.
And yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jihad Saleh. I'm journalist, work with Fikra Forum. Also, I'm Kurdish from Syria. My question for Mr. Shaul, if Bashar Assad regime down will be great for Middle East, specific for Israel, but I think Israel opinion come late. Why? And second question, Turkey is giving a lot logistic and help Brotherhood and radical Islamic in part of Syrian revolution. What do you think about that? That's, I think, is dangerous for Israel and democracy for Middle East. Thank you.
Thank you. And just more generally on the last question, Shaul, would Israel now welcome international efforts, international intervention to protect the Syrian people? Does Israel have a view on the question of international intervention?
First, speaking about the Palestinians, I believe that what will be agreed between the two sides, this is an important issue, not what was in the past. And I'm looking to the future. I believe that what will be agreed between the two sides, I mean Israel and the Palestinians, this is what will be important in the future and will be implemented. I believe that the history is very important, but you cannot rely on the past only. You have to speak about the future. And the future is that we have to sit and speak and negotiate, and there is no other way. The last event in our region, I said that it was and still is a tectonic event. Well, I believe that even the Egyptian people and the Tunisian people, they were surprised when it happened. So don't ask about Israel, okay? Even their people were surprised. So how much we surprised, it is our problem. I believe that the main issue is what was done within these countries, and even their people, the Egyptian people, the Tunisian people, they were surprised about the last demonstration or the last tectonic events in our region. And we have to face this situation and to sit with the elected leaders. And I believe that in Syria, Bashar al-Assad cannot last long. And we will see a different regime in the future. We cannot predict in what will be the date, but I believe that the direction is very clear. And I spoke about it. Now, speaking about international intervention in Syria, I believe, and I said it, that our expectations are that the Western countries will give humanitarian support to Syria. And our expectations are that something will happen by the Western countries. We cannot tell them what to do. We cannot tell to the US, to European countries what to do. But it is clear-cut to you and to us that we cannot be part of it. It is clear why. I was glad to do our best to support the Syrian people, but we cannot be part of such humanitarian or other involvement. But I believe that it is about time that the Western country will do some steps. About Turkey, well, I see Turkey as a superpower in our region. I believe that we have to have a positive relationship. We had in the past positive relationship, and this is a strategic step that we should take, and the Turkish as well. I would like to thank you all coming in here to hear me and to ask questions. It was a very fruitful discussion. Thank you very much to the Washington Institute, and to my friend of Sattler. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shaul Mofaz. Thank you.